Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be giving you guys a tutorial on how to do gel X, and I'm gonna make it as beginner friendly as possible. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to push back the skin around the cuticle area, and what this does is it exposes the basically the cuticle and it also makes it easier to like nip and remove the dry skin around the cuticle area. I know in the video it looks like I'm doing it very aggressively, but that's because the video is a bit sped up because I also don't want it to be too diabolically long. Okay, so now that we're done with pushing back the skin, we're gonna be getting rid of the cuticle under the skin and anywhere we can find it really. The drill bit that I'm using is a carbide needle bit. I think that's how it's called, carbide needle bit. I bought it in like a pack of, I think it was like 30 of them from AliExpress. It was like 400 bob, and I still have all 6 million of them. Best Buy. The e-file that I'm using is a Yokefellow e-file. I'm gonna link all these products in the description box. Here we are basically etching the nail, which is just removing the shine on the surface of the nails. The sanding band that I'm using is a 240 grit sanding band, so it's quite soft. Well, not soft, it's just not as rough as other ones, like an 180 or 101. And the importance of etching is so that the gel adhesive holds on to the nail very well, and it also helps to push back the skin further so that when we're nipping, we have an easy time. Here we're now finally nipping the hangnails, which is basically that skin that we pushed back, that dry skin, all that gunky skin around the nail. And clients really hate this step, but I promise you this is what makes your nails look so snug, because you don't have any build-up around the cuticle area. And as you can see, there's a lot to nip. My rule of thumb is if me or my client can bite it off, she needs to go. If you also don't want to cut your client, the trick is to use a very sharp cuticle nipper. I know that's an oxymoron, but the magic behind it is that, you see, if you use a blunt cuticle nipper, you're going to be tugging and pulling your client's skin while you're attempting to cut it, and that's just only gonna make the cuticle area more sensitive. And also make sure that you've really dried out like the cuticle area, because when you do this on wet hands or wet cuticles, it's more likely to feel more sensitive. I don't know whether you've seen those Russian manicure videos where the nail tech will even go as far as pouring powder around the cuticle area, and that's just basically why. So you've seen the tips that I'm using, and you can basically buy this anywhere in Nairobi. They're available pretty much everywhere. I bought mine from Mia Cosmetics, but everything nails, bunny nails, just about everyone is selling them. So here we are just fitting the nails. And if you're gonna choose a tip for your nail, you'd rather size up than size down if you can't find one that fits it. Because if it's big, you can always file down until it fits the side of the sides of your nail, as opposed to using a smaller one, because a smaller one is just gonna snap off and it's gonna leave room for lifting. So here we're etching as well, just the same way we did on the nail bed. And here we're cleaning all the dust that comes from etching the inside using isopropyl alcohol, and I'm using a cotton round. You can use like a lint-free wipe. Here I am dehydrating the nail using a product that is actually advertised as a primer. I kid you not, but this thing air dries chalk dry, so I use it as a dehydrator. It's the Planet Nails primer. But the real primer that I'm using right now is the one by Young Nails. It's the Young Nails Protein Bond. I buy it from Blooming Elegance, from Chico. And she's the only one I know in Nairobi who sells like legit US and UK brands for nails. And then comes the fixing of the nail. And the gel adhesive that I'm using is the one by AS. I know because the video is a bit sped up, it looks like it's runny and flowy, but it has a very thick consistency, guys. I've come to find out it really doesn't matter. Oh wait, I'm lying. It does matter which nail adhesive to use, because there's another one still by AS that I used a while back. It comes in a tube. It was absolute trash. But anyway, let's talk about how to fix these nails. So it's pretty simple. It's like doing stick-ons. There's nothing difficult about it. You just put a bit of it at the base of the tip where you're going to put it next to the cuticle, and then you're gonna make sure that it's fit sidewall to sidewall, and your client's hands are relaxed, making sure that you can see which fingers are crooked. It's very difficult to see which fingers are crooked when their hands are stiff. So you want to make sure the hands are relaxed. And so when you lay down the nail and you're sure that it's straight, if you have a client who has crooked fingers, you want to put the nail in the opposite direction to which the finger is turning. But basically, once I lay down the nail and I'm sure it's straight, I make sure to go over with a brush with a bit of isopropyl alcohol around the sides to make sure there's none of that gel adhesive before I dry it. And then I just kind of go around the nail from the side that I've exposed it to the UV, and I count to 20 in my head, because literally the mini nail lamp that I'm using to fix them doesn't have a timer. So I count to 20 on one side, then I move my finger a bit from the cuticle and I cure that side for another 20 seconds, and then the other side that I was holding it in the beginning, I cure that for another 20 seconds. And so I've gone all around the nail for about a minute. And when you do that with all 5 fingers, you'll then ask your client to slide their hands into the UV lamp and just give it like a full cure. And here we're finally etching again the surface of the gel X tips. And you could easily do this step using an E-file and a sanding band, but I just choose to use a buffer just because, no particular reason. This step is very necessary, by the way, because if you don't etch the surface of your nails, then the gel is gonna peel and you don't want it to start peeling. Okay? Once you do it for all 5 fingers, then you can cut. I like to buff before I cut or shorten the nails, because it gives me a clear idea of how long the nail actually does look, as opposed to when it's clear. Anyway, my clients wanted them a bit shorter, and she wanted them a bit more rounder. However, while I was editing, I realized I didn't film me filing the nails. So literally you're watching the final product after filing. And so here I am just sealing the cuticles using this drill bit, which I don't know. I think it's called I think it's a Skyver bit. I don't know. But basically the reason why you want to do this, it's going to make the nails look a lot more flush and snug. Like the tip is coming from your actual finger. And then if you have any glue that's dried around the sides, it's gonna get rid of that. If you have like spaces where the tip is a bit more raised further from the nail, you can get rid of that. Like, it just makes it look so much more flush. And this is what separates nails that look like stick-ons and gel X tips that look professionally done. I feel like this step is so essential. It's a non-negotiable, okay? You have to do this, guys. You do. And that's why you really need an E-file. And these are the nails after cleaning. This is the canvas we're going to be working on. Now we're down to polishing, and I'm using the best base coat I've ever had. I use my base coats for so many functions. I also use my base coats. Any base coat that I have, I use it also as a blooming gel. And this one is my absolute fave, because when I'm doing designs that I feel I need to, blooming gel designs specifically, that require, I feel like I need to give more time and attention to detail, I use this one, because characteristically, like blooming gel, it spreads the pigment gel very fast, but this one, it allows it to spread but a bit slower, so you have a lot more working time. And also, I also like this base gel because it's not too, like the finish after you dry it, it's not too sticky, like the inhibition layer is not too tacky, but it still holds on to every successive layer of gel that you're gonna apply. And it's from Unigel, by the way. The gel is called Unigel, that base coat. Here now I am using the Macaron Professional Milky White. I think it's number 1 from the I think it's Macaron. I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. Not macaron like those ones for eating. Macarons. It's like I don't know. But yeah, if you go on my TikTok, you'll see I have posted them, all those polishes, and I posted an unboxing. But the reason why I'm doing this white base is because it's a bit thick, and so it adds to like the strength of the Gel-X tape. And then also, when I am going to apply the sheer pink, which you can see here, it just gives it a bit more depth. But again, it's because the sheer pinks that I use, I make them myself, and that's because I want them like super sheer, super thin, because for me, I want to be able to build opacity, because there's clients who like are very sheer, and there are clients who want like an almost opaque sheer. So either way, I'm set to go. And after I do the white milky, I'm gonna do like, I think it was 3 extra layers of the pink, which I don't mind. And I know it's still possible to use like Builder Gel in a bottle, but I just don't like working with Builder Gel. I hate it so much. I hate the heat spikes. I just, so I would rather just build strength pole like this. And in any case, I'm never in a hurry. I like doing my job. After this, you're gonna see how the nails look after all the 60 million layers of the shears. Here we finally get to do the design work, and I'm gonna start off with this brown, again from the Macaron Professional Gel line, and this is the number 30 on the pinky finger. And on the middle finger, I'm gonna go in with a French, and there's literally absolutely no formula for doing a French. I draw the line as I see fit. After drawing that line, my smile line, I'm gonna put a bit of gel at the base of the smile line, and that's what I'm gonna use to build color and opacity on the French that I'm doing. And you'll see me just continually dragging that gel at the base of my smile line, and I feel like this technique works for me. Yeah, it's that simple. There's no perfect line brush, guys. You are the one to make up a good line brush. You simply tweak yours using a pair of cuticle nippers, and you don't want to cut the bristles from one side. You want to pull out one bristle at a time round the line brush until you get like a fine needle. Here we're going in with the same color, but a second layer, a second coat, still on the pinky. And we're not done with design. We're going to do it at the end of the video after the top coat. But for the ring finger, I'm here applying matte top coat from AS, which I absolutely hate. I'll talk about that in another video. And afterwards, I am going to wipe off the same nail with acetone because we're doing an isolated chrome. And for the design which we're going to lay down the isolated chrome, I am using rhinestone adhesive in that black tube. I'm going to link it in the description box, but you could easily use builder gel. And I've mixed it with a bit of black so that you can see the chrome. But basically that's really just it. It's just builder, and I'm using builder with the black so that it can look 3D. I also forgot to show you guys mixing the gel with the acetone for the airbrush or a nail, but here we are doing it. And now that the chrome design is dry, we're applying the chrome, which you'll see does not cling on any other part of the nail except where we put the design. So it's very important that you lay down a layer of matte and wipe with acetone after. To seal the chrome, you first start with a layer of base coat, then you're going to finish off with top coat. Not 2 layers of top coats because the top one is going to peel off. Here on the thumb, we are applying a wet layer of base coat and then doing a very simple marble design where I am dipping the ombre brush in a bit of beige, then a bit of brown, and then just letting it like sit on the base coat. It's very easy, and you'll see me doing the same thing on this middle finger, dipping the brush in the beige and the brown, and then laying it on a wet layer of base coat. Guys, ignore any noise you're hearing. I am not going to record this voice over again. I think I'm audible enough though. Then I am applying a wet layer of base coats, and then I'm going to lay down some gold flakes on top of the dry marble design. On the same finger, I'm laying down a bit of rhinestone glue, gel glue to be specific, then laying the stones, then curing them under the lamp. Here's how you do the star. Using your dotting tool, you want to use the one with the smallest head, and using a very fine line brush, I am going to drag a bit of the paint up and down, and the top and bottom line, those are going to be the longest lines. The ones on the side are going to be medium length, and the ones that are coming out diagonally, they're going to be the absolute shortest. So top and bottom, very long, sides, medium, diagonal, very short, okay? That's how you get this design to look very nice. Well, at least that's the technique I use. And then, like I said, for a very fine line brush, you just tweak it with your cuticle nippers, okay? My God. Speaking is so tiresome. Okay. It's so tiring. Now we're applying the chrome on the star design, and then I'm going to lay down another stone at the center, and then we're adding gems on this finger using the same rhinestone adhesive. Guys, ignore the noise. I want to shoot people out here, okay? Believe me, but we're gonna power through. As you can see, very easy. On the thumb, a wet layer of base coat so that we can add some more gold flakes, because we extra like that. And then finally, the best top coat ever. This is the Unigel top coat. I love the base coat and the top coat from Unigel. The top coat is so shiny, guys, and it doesn't peel, and the shine it actually lasts. The shine it has actually lasts the entire time that the client will have the set. So you're gonna continue applying top coat on all the nails. By the way, the index finger was my fave nail. It looks so nice, as you can see here. I loved the star and the aura like brown design at the back. And I'm gonna continue applying top coat on all the nails, but then we're not done because we still have to do the 3D art on the pinky finger, which goes on top of the top coat. So basically, you're gonna get a small bead of either builder gel, but I'm using the rhinestone adhesive again, and I'm putting a bit of it at the tip of the brush, laying it on the nail, and then pulling it or dragging it on the side. Guys, I want to shoot people out here because I'm not doing this voiceover again because we're literally at the end, so ignore the noise. Here we're applying cuticle oil. This is what we got. I love how the nails came out. I love how they turned out. Do let me know how you feel about this set in the comment section, and let me know what you want to watch, what you want me to make. I'll see you in the next one.